What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We are here with the one and only Yume Tran, and this is Best Served Podcast 260. We're talking Be a Pillar of Your Community, and this has been Best Served Fresh Volume 1 with Yume again, and this is episode 44. Yume, this is the last of the four-part series.
I know. I'll be missing putting makeup on every Friday just for you.
I know. We're going to have to make it. Next week is going to be episode 5 of 4. We're just going to invert the numbers. We can't not keep this going, right? But it's been really fascinating for us, as it's been about kind of understanding your journey. What I really love about you is your ability to connect heart and head back and forth very quickly. You're very strong with the numbers, and you're very strong with understanding the people behind the numbers, behind the actual actions that it takes to own your business, not let it own you, to empower your people, not to just have jobs for people. I think it's important. So we started, definitely go check out, everybody. The full series playlists of Best Served Fresh Volume 1 are on our Facebook and our YouTube page. You can follow along. We started with how to value and manage your time. You're very, very consistent with really understanding the time. And too often in restaurants, we are not. We talked about being a true professional, the way that we are going beyond just thinking about this as a manual labor, that there is a lot more to this industry, and there can be true professionals, the way that you invest in your people.
A lot more brain need to be used.
There's a lot. You have to be able to be very savvy, very smart, and be able to work really hard with your hands. You need to be able to do both, and we need to really balance out that equation. And you also push your people to really understand how to invest in themselves on top of what you are investing in them. We talked last week about reporting and evaluating ROI, something that's so crucial. We need to really understand all the data points so that we can master our numbers, so that you can make personal decisions, because there is no cookie cutter. There is no one size fits all. You have to be able to understand the numbers so that you can move them around and make them best for you, your business, your community. And then, of course, today we're going to talk about that community, because you have been in Parker, Colorado for 17 years, which is multiple lifetimes in a restaurant, lifetimes in a restaurant. And so we're going to dig into that. One of the major tenets of what we talk about is restaurants are fundamentally pillars of both culture and commerce in their community. And we see that playing out now through COVID times, maybe more than ever. I think we have undervalued and underestimated the impact that we have, both on the way that people feel about themselves, the way that we feel about our community, and the money that goes into it. The economic impact that restaurants have is massive. And there's been a huge shift in the last several decades, going away from the mall or the strip mall shopping center being the epicenter of commerce, right? It was JCPenney and Sears, which basically don't exist anymore, being the place where people spent their money, and restaurants wanted to be as close as possible to those high traffic areas to siphon some of that butts and seats, to try and get some revenue from that. Now you see any emerging area, it's restaurants, food and beverage, hospitality, entertainment are the linchpins. Those are the mainstay cornerstone tenants that developers are looking for, that those communities are looking for. So we need to understand it's a different game now, and we need to level up, and we also need to assert our authority a little bit. So there's a little bit of a balancing act there. So setting the table for all of that, I want to go big picture. You, again, have been immersed in the Parker community for 17 years. That means something. That consistency over 17 years, it means something to that community. When you think about your ability to be embedded in that community so deeply, so ingrained in that community, talk to us a little bit. What do we need to be thinking about as people think about where they want to open their new restaurant, where and what community they want to be a part of? I think of Ken and Doris Wan at Meta Asian, who we've now worked with. Where do they want to open their first restaurant when they move from Avanti Food Hall to a brick and mortar? That decision matters, because they could be a part of that community for the next 17 years. Hopefully they are.
Yep, that's true. Well, people always say to me too that some people ask me all the time, so how do we become such a member of the community? And they found that I don't even go to any networking event, right? But the first thing they say to you is, go to the networking event, go to the Women Forum, business after hours meeting, be very active in the Chamber of Commerce, and nothing's wrong with that. And I would encourage people who are comfortable doing that to do that.
Sure.
We, on the other hand, I'm sort of like I'm like a conflict person, right? Like I'm heart and mind, and then yet I'm very outgoing, and yet I'm not. I got lost in a business networking event. I wouldn't know who to talk to. People would have to come to me. I'll be standing in the corner and people would come to me talking to me versus I reaching out. So I'm sort of like that kind of a conflict of a person because I try to not take the spotlight away from a lot of people who are there because they needed to be there for their business more so than who we are. Everybody kind of know who Indochine is. So I don't want you to kind of take the spotlight away. So I don't attend hardly any of the business networking event. And not because I have a lot of problem with it, not at all. It's because it personality. I believe authenticity is what we have to stick with. If I am this way as a person, I build much better relationship by finding out about my customer. And let's say their mom and dad got sick. I want to be able to say, hey, I can cook some beef stock for you. So come by and pick it up for free. Those are and it's small and it's slow. It seemed like a slow process because that means you have to touch a new person every single day. Yes. But once you do, they become your family. They become better than your friends. They become your families. And so that had been, I always say to people that be authentic to yourself, to your own style, to what you're comfortable with. There are people who go to also networking events so well known that way. But we are well known with a lot of people because when they think of us, they think of their family. They think of someone that would take care of them, of their family, treating, making good food to take care of them. So they think of us in that sense. If not, I might not be the most outgoing person at a business meeting event, so I don't normally go. But they all know that we take good care of our customer when they come in.
I want to hover on that because what you talked about is fascinating. We have to pay attention to this. So I want to make sure if you're thinking about the way that you scale interaction, you're talking about one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat, one person creating one memorable moment, right? Because restaurants, they're here to create a sense of belonging. Now that person whose family may have been ill, they now have that sense of belonging because you cared just enough to interact with them in one meaningful way. I think that's super important to understand. Now, people say, well, you can't scale that. I absolutely believe that you can scale that because if you ingrain that in the DNA of your team, then they do that. And that is scalable. Every single interaction with every single one of your employees is an opportunity. Every single interaction, if somebody is interviewing you in an article, every single interaction, you are creating that opportunity that is scalable. And I really want people to make sure and pay attention to that because sometimes we're thinking so macro. We're trying to get so many eyeballs, so much attention. How many people are going to be at this networking meeting? Like 200 people? Wow. I feel like that's 200 opportunities in one evening.
But you don't. You see, because you either cannot talk to anybody, any kind of meaningful conversation, right? In an hour or 2 hours. But you definitely can make a lasting impact when you talk to that one person at your restaurant. Then that lasting impact, they all have friends. They all have friends, they all have family. They will go home and they will talk about that conversation that you have. That to me is extremely scalable in a very authentic in an authentic way. Because I like people to know me for who I am. I'm no different than when you meet me at the restaurant or when you meet me at my home. I want them to know that. I want them to be able to say to their friend, oh my God, I got a chance to talk to Yume. She was telling me about this food I should eat. Or, oh my God, she just came back from Vietnam and she said she got so sick. And then their friend want to know me. Then their friend will be like, hey, she seemed to be really cool. I want to come in. She's approachable. Because a lot of time, as a chef, as a restaurant owner, people thinking you're not approachable, right? Because, oh my God, look at they run a beautiful, successful business. Oh my gosh, she cooks so great. I wonder if I can become near her. I always tell people that many thousand people now that know us, it's not because they all know me directly. They know a person, and a person take 20 of her friends. Those 20 take another 10, that become 200. It doesn't take that far going from one person to 200 who knows you within the span of a month. You can do it, but you have to be authentic. I say this to people all the time. I am who I am. I can't be another person. Like people always say to me, like, you're such a great chef, but God, why is it that you eat Kentucky Fried Chicken? And I would say that to people. I would say, I love KFC. So they know that I am approachable. Although I cook really healthy food, that doesn't mean I'm going to turn my nose up when I see you at McDonald's. Oh, there are people who got shocked when they see me like buying KFC. They go, oh, you eat here? I said, well, yeah, once in a while I like some drumstick. I mean, deep fried, grease. I mean,
It
that's
tastes
me.
good. I get it. I get it. I really appreciate this. This is actually so perfect. This banner right here is exactly what we're talking about. Your ability to go heart to head. This is one that I was like scouring around in the back end of our system here, being like, I know there's a banner that is exactly what you're saying. And this is it. Family, when you talk about the family dynamic of creating that, it's easy to say that. Oh, yeah, our guests feel like family. What does that mean? Because you need to really define that more clearly, and you have, so that the 20 people tell 20 people who tell 20 people, and every single one of your team members is there to create that opportunity. Emotional connection, people will pay for. This is, again, heart. It's authentic and real. Yet that's what people want to pay for and are willing to pay for.
Remember this.
Yes.
I always say to people, I said, are you a place that when they get upset about something that they come to eat, to hope to see you? Are you a place when they have a kid that drive them crazy, that they can come in and they feel that they can talk to somebody? Or are you a place when they get off before they get on the plane to come home from vacation that they could think of to come and tell you how the vacation was? Are you that place? And that's really much at the end of the day. That's how it gets them to come and see you. Because they knew that when they come in, you'd be like, hey, how was your vacation? And they would tell you everything there is. And, it does take time. But when you think about it, if you're being true to yourself, you're not being phony, you're not being unauthentic, that the conversation you have with your sister, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your kids. So you can have that conversation over and over and over again. I enjoy being at the restaurant every time I see any customer, because then I get to know about them. I get to know, their kids, how their college going right now. Yes. Those are the kind of stuff. So you have to ask yourself that as a restaurant owner, as a chef, am I that place? Yes, of course you want to be known for your food, but you know what? I tell you, we've been so busy on the election day, the day after election, and even though we all very divided, half and half and half and half, right? I tell you, there were people I do know want to come to the restaurant just because they either celebrate or because they mourn, one way or the other, doesn't matter. Yeah. They knew that they can safely do that. That they want to come to the place to do that.
It's that the most fundamental thing for me is a sense of belonging for your team and for your guests, your internal and external guests. And I think it's important. And for you, you authentically do that. You also are so big on transparency. And that is another one of the things. This is why I love it. You are already doing all the things that we think restaurants should be doing. I'm like, well, Yume's already doing that, and this and that and this and that. This is why we have this series. Transparency for me is the opportunity to communicate both with your internal guests, your employees, and your external guests, your community. That transparency is key because it has to be real. It has to be authentic. People need to know that you're not just selling them something. Yet, if you do that in a genuine, authentic way, they will buy anything that you want to sell them. This is the reality of creating the communication that you actually can run a successful business. And so I want to touch on that. When you think about transparency, what are the ways that you're doing that? Through COVID, especially, let's focus on now. You have been so proactive with communication. You didn't internalize and stop communicating because you didn't know how to communicate because you didn't have all the answers. It's okay that you don't have the answers. It's not okay that you stop communicating because you think the expectation is that everyone expects you to have the answers. They don't. They just need to know that you still are there. You still care. You still have empathy. You're still working hard and hustling for them, even though you might not have that. So transparency. Let's start with your internal team. How do you focus on transparency with your employees?
Well, my team will tell you that they probably got like another mom at work.
too much communication. You're an over communicator. Okay.
It's a constant. It's from how your school going to what class are you taking, when you're graduating, to don't go out. It's really bad right now. Do go out. And to like my kitchen staff, for example, is always like, don't go partying now. This is not the time to do it. And then of course come in. I'm very transparent in terms of They knew how cleanly I want things to be, and I don't wait until the last minute. I don't wait until at the team meeting. Believe it or not, we never have team meetings. I talk to each individual person all day long. All day long. It's about like, okay, can you not cut this thing like this? Let's do it this way. And we transparency in a sense that, so let's say we have cases of people that, let's say, caught COVID through girlfriends or something like that. I would send a long text, including everyone in it, apologizing the fact that I'm actually disclosing people personal situation because of the sake of transparency. But I also have to invade the privacy a little bit to be able, in order to do that. So they know that. And so my staff never would worry about it. They don't have to come to me like, oh my God, how come I don't see so-and-so haven't come into work? Is she or he okay? I would tell them ahead of time. I said, hey, I just want you guys to know for the next 2 weeks, so-and-so we're not going to be working because I don't know yet they have COVID or not, but their girlfriend coughing. So I told them to go take a test. In the meantime, they're not here. And then I'm going to be working. So those are the things that we do internally a lot. I text my team a lot. There's a lot of notes that I type up and I post it on doors and stuff like that a lot. They would tell you that I text all the time. I take pictures of area that not as clean as it should be. I take pictures.
And there's sticky notes all over their car. I like it. I love it. I think that communication is important. You just mentioned one thing that I wanted to touch on, because there is so much anxiety. There's so much anxiety in interpersonal communication all the time. Now that's amplified with COVID and then politics. This moment is as much anxiety as you can ever imagine in any given culture at any given time for what we're dealing with right now. And that is because it's unknown. Like, we would prefer bad news than no news. That's the reality of things when it comes to human interaction. And so you're going right at it. You're creating an expectation that people are going to want to know. Right now, that if somebody's not there who they've seen there for the last year and a half, and they're not there for 14 straight days, and they didn't see a request off in the 7-shift scheduler, well, they know something might be wrong. And when we don't know, we make up the worst case scenarios every time. That's human nature. So you're going right at that. That is anticipating your people and understanding that you need to communicate with them so you can alleviate that fear and anxiety and unknown, so that when they are there, they can be the best versions of themselves to have those interactions with the guests that lead to the guests understanding that they are authentically family, that then lead to them telling 20 more people and 20 more people and 20 more people and scaling what you do. So
exactly. And also, I think too, also, when you're transparent like that, you let all the team members step up without asking them to step up. I typically say, hey, so-and-so going to be out for 2 weeks. So this is what I'm going to be doing. Also, you walking them through the decision-making process. Because I'm looking at each of my staff thinking that they either going to open their own restaurant someday, or they will own some kind of business someday. So I'm walking them through my decision-making process every step of the way. And everything we do, including every time we have to fix a dish that's gone wrong, I walk them through. I say, this is what we can do. This is what I think we can do this. And I explain a little bit of the science behind it. I think that encourages people, give them the opportunity to step up. And yes, one or two of my staff did step up and said, there's one girl, she only worked 1 shift a week. She said, hey, I definitely can help. I don't want you to work 7 days a week. Here you go. Just go ahead and 7 shift me, on the schedule, proposed schedule, put me on there. And then if I accept it, I will accept. So you allow people to, being involved in your decision-making process that would good for them in the future. And even their daily job, they would know, hey, when I'm in the garage, what would I do? What would Yume have? I've seen Yume do this. This is what I would do. And have confidence that they make the right decision, because I'm walking them through the decision-making process, every single issues at the restaurant. I do it all the time. I'm very transparent. With the customer, like beginning of March, I already gone out and said, okay, my God, we haven't had mask issue yet, but I'm going to do mask. This is what we're going to do. I took picture of our takeout triage. And then when we do when we can get our dine-in again, I took a picture of the process of our stages, that when we're going to do dine-in 50%, because we started out with like really limited all the way until mid-June, even though our order was actually in the end of May. Douglas County, we have a variance approved. So those are the kind of stuff that we continue to do. And I communicate, when one of my staff said, my girlfriend got a sore throat and now. So I told them about exactly that. Their girlfriend got sore throat and I told them to go take a test. And until I got a thing, this is what they're going to be off the schedule. So I'll be working 7 days a week. So I actually even told my customer that I'm going to be working 7 days a week. So you see me more now. You see me in the front, which they did all this week.
I'm sure. I want to go into the guests a little bit. I want to frame this for people. And I also want to say, I remember early on, I'm pretty sure you were the first person I saw with branded face masks. You were right on that. You own that, which I think is very, very important. Own your story, whatever that story is. And I think that's key. And I think we'll dive into that a little bit. I wanted to touch on this though. This was amazing. Andrew Parr, who everybody knows, does so much work with us and is just absolute research hound. I was like, Andrew, there's got to be an article out there about Yume being just the pillar of that community in Parker. And of course, we found several. This was my favorite. I want to have Andrew throw that banner up. Yeah. This is the title of an article, and it is "Everyone Loves Yume. And if you don't, it's because you haven't met her." That is so perfect.
And I didn't even know the article is.
That is so perfect. And the link is in the comments right now. Go check that out. It's basically you doing some cooking videos. It was like a recipe of the month cooking video pieces. And so there's some links to some videos of yours. Okay. And it's once again, you are a communicator, pure and simple. You're using food, hospitality, food and beverage, Asian culture, Vietnamese, your Vietnamese culture as the conduit for that pure communication. And so the fact that you have these videos out there is just another form of communication. The fact that you're out there on social media, telling people about the triage, about your process, setting them at ease, that they have a clear expectation, the branded face masks, all of these things are your modus for communicating. So I want to go there a little bit. When you think about the way that you're communicating, you have a multitude of different buckets that you're spending effort in communicating. Let's talk about those a little bit. With the article is cooking videos. Why was cooking videos something important you wanted to do to communicate?
Well, I always think, with the thing with the Food Network, since most of us cannot make it to Food Network, right? But we do. But
I think we totally can make it to Food Network, just so you know.
We like a great cook, we're a great chef. We always can show people how to do something. I mean, people always love to have some tidbit, like they want to know, how do you do something in the kitchen? So I thought that in order for me to be able to kind of let them know that how even more approachable I am and how approachable Indochine is, to the point where they literally can cook our food at home. You see, that's how you kind of linkage everything together to a family. Like, I'm not teaching them anything that like Julia Chai does, because that's just like way above my intelligence. I can tell you, I'd be like lost reading her recipe. So I want even the cooking demo to show people how approachable our food is. That is not hard, that they can do it. Because I often say to people all the time, I said, why are you here? You're eating the same thing. I already showed you how to cook that twice. Why aren't you cooking it at home?
Let's stay right there, because what you're talking about is very, very important. You are now doing a couple of things. You're showing people how to cook your food, and people are saying, well, if you show them all of your best dishes, why would they come to your restaurant? You also mentioned you're making them very simple, and then they say, well, that's such a simple dish. Why would I pay that much for that dish? Yet for you, you're recognizing it's creating, again, that communication where your openness and transparency is endearing you to them to say, you know what, I could cook that home, but I don't want to.
I want to see you. I want to support you. Yeah.
I want to support you because you have shared a part of yourself and your story and your food and your business with me. That matters to people. They're willing to spend more money on it, even though you just told them it's super simple and you could do it at home. That's a very vulnerable potential position for somebody. And a lot of times we're trying to pretend like we have this super secret recipe that's the reason, and you could never accomplish that at home. The reality is you're being more successful by sharing it. Go into that. Why is that a mentality and a mindset shift that we need to adopt in the restaurant industry? If you're looking at opening a business, that's what you have. You don't have a secret recipe. You have an opportunity to communicate.
Yep, exactly. And I think even my own mother used to say all the time, everybody say to me, why would you have your sauce? And then you show them how to do it. And it literally take 3 minutes. And you keep saying on your cooking video, It's only take 3 minutes. It's really easy. I want you to cook at home. At the end of my cooking video, I would say people like, I want you to cook more at home. It's so counterintuitive, right? Do we want them to be like, oh no, you can't do this dishes. Just have that 2 secret ingredient that you could never get. See, I'm not like that because I think, like I said, authenticity trumps the day. Well, okay, that's not the right word, but authenticity rules the day, right?
I think that's a pretty good word for right now.
Rules the day because the fact that you cannot lie, you cannot be unauthentic, you cannot be who you're not. So I am like that from day one. So my thinking always, how do I help my customer? So beginning of COVID, I do a lot more cooking video live because I was thinking, oh my God, with the shutdown, everybody would not gonna be able to go out to eat. So this is how you can cook my favorite food at your home. So that came from a place of sincerity, came from a place of I really truly want to help my customer be able to cook my food at home. Just buy the sauce, the rest of them you can buy. And just in case I got shut down, you got shut down, you can do this at home still. So it came from a place that really want to take care of my customers. So I do more of it. Even before that, for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, I do cooking demo all the time because I really do feel that there will be cost inhibited for people to actually keep eating out all the time, especially for people that have 5, 6, 7 children who love our food, right? So then you can cook it at home. And it's expensive, yes. So I want them to know that come to me. Yes, I want your business, but I also be willing to show you how to do my food at home, healthy, and you can cook it at home for your family. I would love to get your money, but you know what? It's more important to me that you are financially stable, that you are taking care of your family by eating good food. So that's how I look at it, and I think come from that sincerity. I think it showed to my customers that I do care a lot, because that's the reason why most chefs don't have cookbook out. Most chefs don't do, here, I'm going to show you how to do this thing 2 minutes in your home, right? Because we want that allure. You want that whole oh my God, there got to be the secret that people are doing that we can never reach. But to me, that's so unauthentic because you all know how little we pay our cooks. They can't really whip out that kind of a secret, paying that little and doing this thing. So for me, I kind of I laid it all out there saying, here, I'll show you how to cut. I might not be the best knife skill there is. I might not be the proper, like Culinary Institute of America knife skill, but I'll show you what I learned from YouTube and you can learn from me that way. So it's all approachable. I look at my customer and care for them like my family. In situation like this, when you know that things gonna get tougher, if we are not opening up anytime soon, there will be time when they won't be able to eat out anymore. So I want them to be able to cook at home. So, just save the money, maybe just hoping that maybe when you be able to go out to eat, that you would like to come to us when you eat, because then you want to talk to us. So that's really much how we do it. We think about a very long-term relationship and somehow it works out. And I'm just grateful that it does. That might not be the best way, I can tell you, I'm sure of it.
I think it is the best way. I think it is absolutely the best way. I think there's potentially ways that you can, open up multiple restaurants because you're putting other people in a position and equity and all these different things. You've decided to keep it with the one restaurant.
Just one.
So that works really, really well for you. I think some of the things that you're doing are foundational that then you could scale and amplify. I think somebody could look at that and say, there's that opportunity. Like, I want to bottle Yume Tran and put that out into the world. That's literally what we're doing here. I want to jam in a couple more things. I want to wrap this up pretty quickly, but there's a couple other things that you do that I think are really, really important to touch on. You did put a cookbook out there. So I want people to know that was another investment, another opportunity. And then you actually generated revenue, which restaurants need to be thinking about multiple streams of revenue. And we don't do that enough. And it created the opportunity where now you see cookbook behind me, your brand is sitting on their shelves. And it continuously reminds them and reminds them and reminds them. You also are doing something that I think is the most important thing from creating additional revenue streams that restaurants need to be focusing on. And that is CPG, consumer packaged goods. You have to, not if, not when, now. You have to create a line of products that authentically represent you. It creates the opportunity for, again, additional revenue streams. It creates a multitude of opportunities that's scalable in the way that you said. You create this family dynamic. Well, somebody buys that jar of sauce. It goes in their house. Their whole family interacts with it every day that they're not at the restaurant.
Yep.
Makes them remember the restaurant. They want to go back to the restaurant, and then they have friends over.
Yep.
And then they buy somebody a Christmas gift. And then
Yes.
and then now other people go, what is this sauce? Oh, that's just Yume.
Yeah.
That's from Indochine Cuisine.
Yes.
Oh, Indochine Cuisine. I've heard about that place. That's like, down on Main Street, right? I haven't been there before. You have to go.
Yeah.
They go. This is what people need to do. So that is something I want people to really, really focus on. And you and I could talk about that for 10 hours. And I want to just leave it at that for people because I want to end with this. You have the most brilliant pipeline. The most brilliant, if it was sports, it'd be a farm system of talents because you are so ingrained in that community that families literally they're putting an X on the calendar for the day that their child turns 16 so that they can go work for Miss Yume. And restaurants everywhere are struggling with labor shortages, labor issues. You hear it left and right. You are not, because people are literally saying, take my child, keep my child, mold my child. It's time for them to get into a job, and I want them to work for Miss Yume because you are part of this community. Take a minute to tell us why that is so important to you.
Well, I think that, it's really tough to hire people, which we all know in this industry. So, and with the customer, you know them for years and years and years. You've seen the kids, that had been with us for even when they were 1 or 2 years old. You know them, you know their character. They know you. So they have also the certain respect for you. So when they come into work, you don't have to deal with having to train them and tell them how to behave appropriately because they behave appropriately before they come in already. They already look at you. You are a figure of authority. So then the whole thing about them being disrespectful to you, none of that you have to deal with. And we are so grateful that we don't even have that. We do have a couple here and there, but that's been so long ago. For 17 years, I probably would say that we got 1 or 2. You have to, otherwise it becomes unrealistic. So for me, that just because I think that also the kids embrace the culture of Indochine and embrace the food. So before they come into work, they already know what's expected of them. And so in a way, they come in behind the scene, they go, oh, now I see all the magic happen, right? And so for me, that's so important that you nurture that relationship because that our young generation, the next generation can definitely be your staff. That you don't have to spend a lot of time getting headache over, like, are they even decent? Are they respectful kids? Are they anything? None of that. All of that barrier have been completely taken care of. All you have to do then, focusing on training them how to do their job. With literally, if they respect you, they respect the kitchen, they will hone in on learning how to do a job within a few hours. You don't have to deal with them calling out sick, don't show up to work, none of that. Because they don't. They are so respectful kids when they come in already. Their mom and dad make sure that they have to be just respectful to us, just that they are to their mom and dad. So we just had a complete package. These kids are just the most amazing. We just have the most amazing kids working. I mean, I call them kids because anybody who's younger than 40 years old, they're my kids. So, so
anybody who comes into your orbit is your kid. You have
yes.
that. You have that motherly way about you, the intensity, right?
Intensity. I'm very calm.
You're not going to let them get away with nothing.
Nope.
You're also going to support them in every possible way, shape, and form. If that is the way to cut this one item, if it's the way to interact with each other, the way to interact with your community, the way to start a Roth IRA, the way to. That is what you're doing. You're illuminating that path for people. So I really appreciate this. And I know my wheels are turning when you started talking about training, the barriers of training. I know Andrew's are as well, because we're going to be talking a lot about training as we're really focused on wages, benefits, culture, and education, the four verticals and the way that you can invest in people in kind of our Paragon pillars. This is so important. And training is just so bad in this industry. It's so bad. People just get thrown into the fire time and time again. And what you're talking about is you're creating the opportunity to streamline without cutting corners. I love it. Once again, you got my wheels spinning. So Yume, we're going to look, everybody. The end of this 4-part series is today. Yes. Yeah. You are going to see so much more and hear so much more from Yume as we go forward, because I can't get enough of siphoning superpower from you. And I know it's bringing a lot of value to the community. And I appreciate also you telling me time and again that it's bringing value to you and your team as we interact in this way. So I think it's something that is so necessary, so needed in this time more than ever, as we have to rebuild a new industry out of this. And so much of the groundwork that you've laid over the last 17 years is clearly showing that we should have all been doing this a long time ago. We should have all been, we all just need just a little Yume and we'd be a little better off. So Yume Tran, thank you so much for contributing so much to our community, the broader community of hospitality, food, and beverage.
I'm humbled that at least anything I do would help.
It all helps. Appreciate you. All right. You go have a great day.
Yeah.
I know that you have some more community building to do.
Yes. Thank you.
See ya. All right, everybody. That's it. Yume Tran, the one and only. Indochine Cuisine, Parker, Colorado. It's again part of this 4-part series. Go to our Best Served Podcast Facebook page, Best Served Podcast YouTube page, and you can search for the playlist Best Served Fresh Volume 1 that has the full 4-part series with Yume Tran, and we'll have more series of Fresh going forward. Kind of those innovators, people, businesses that are really disrupting, that are trying to break industry standards, which I think are complete garbage and broken. And we're going to be really, really looking for Yume and others that are kind of leading the way in that. So definitely stay tuned to the Best Served Fresh channel. I think you get a lot of value out of that. And then I'm sure Yume herself will be contributing to other factors within Best Served Podcast. So you're welcome for that. All right. That is it for today's episode. 260. So grateful to be any part of being a pillar in our community. It's been a true honor. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in. Cheers.